Here we go.
Welcome and good evening in this now moment, whatever moment it may be for you. Right now, it is January 14th, and we are on the Thursday evening conversation call, which I've come to call Co-Creative Conversations. So we are here really as an inception from Co-Creators Convergence, who we began last year hosting these weekly calls on The Conversation. So we give a big shout out and thank you to The Conversation as well as to Co-Creators Convergence. And last year we hosted, trying to do the math in my head real quick, about 24 various conversationalists. So we are so excited to be back here tonight. And I, along with Bob and Noel, will actually be leading this conversation on the perils and pearls of 2020. One of the most wonderful things, though, about this time is that it really is a conversation. So each and every one of us, it's so valued to have you share and put your voice into the circle or the grid as it looks on Zoom. And this has become such a co-creative experience that has been so heartwarming for people. We are booked out through February with conversationalists. So we're very excited about that. So Bob and Noel, I don't know if you want to say anything before we, I would love it, Noel, actually, if you would maybe lead us into how, Noel sort of had this idea about hindsight of 2020. And so maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Well, before I do that, I want to just explain how these conversations, how we're working them. It's kind of like on a pay it forward. So if let's say that Elsie would be the guest one week, then Elsie would host a guest the following week. So that it's not like you come in, you give your blurb and you're gone. It's like we really want to try to get more connection. And it's been really heartening to see how many new faces have shown up and how many new people have been brought to the conversation. So it's kind of like a receive and pay forward as well. So that's a really kind of sparked this thing, because we were doing calls just once a month, but it's kind of took off. So now we're doing this weekly. And I give Karen a lot of credit because she's been doing the organizing. I'm just a pretty face.
That's what I told her.
Get out of here. So
you know the truth of that is, so if any of you happen to see the banner for this event, I was holding the world in my hands, this big, large kind of beach ball that's the world. And that photo was actually taken at the Parliament of World Religions, and it was Noel and I, each on one side. And conveniently, it was just me holding the whole world. And I said, come on, do this conversation with me. But what I wrote when I put it on my Facebook page is, it looks as though I'm holding the whole world in my hands, but you know who the wind beneath the wings is. And that really is our light partners, Bob and Noel.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So we're the mutual. Hey, Asaki Kai here. All right, welcome. So so Karen and I were talking about kicking off. We took about a 3-week hiatus from the calls, and I was on a digital diet, and it was very successful, very refreshing. So this is actually one of my first returns to the big screen, and you indulge my weird sense of humor. So we said, well, how are we going to kick off 2021? And 2020 has been
interesting.
Has had many facets, and I don't think any of us could have predicted. I haven't heard of anybody that predicted 2020. Maybe Asaki Kai are.
Wait, Noel, you're making me think how much fun it would be as you're introducing. If you could only say one word about 2020, type it in the chat. One word only.
Great idea.
Keep going, Noel.
Okay, so type in one word. I was going to type in one word.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so
Oops.
we decided that perhaps what it would be due to kick off 2021 would be to talk about the past year and how everybody is doing, how they got through it. And a lot of people like, oh, 2020, can't wait for it to be over. Oh, it's been blah, it's been blah, it's been blah. And so we decided, yeah, here we go. When it's over. Evo driver. Okay, I'm not familiar with that term. No. But so anyway, we decided to make this call about that. So that's what we want to have the conversation about. Oh, introspection. I like that one. Mine would be surprise. Evolution. Oh, evolutionary driver, of course. Robin. Yes. So Robin helped produce a Birth 2012 event with Barbara Marks Hubbard and the Shift Network. And that was a major event, kind of like led up to this. So we were talking about that, and that's what we want to talk about. And I found a video, very short video, and it's about 2020. And I don't know if we want to show that first or if we want people to jump in about. It's really great that people are putting things into the chat.
Well, one thing that I would love it if I know you've put in the chat, you could say your word or really honoring like one sentence. One of the most valuable things that we love so much about Circle is all of us putting our voice in. So maybe we could just say our name, put our voice in one sentence or two at the most of, a thought you have about this call or 2020. And there's something I've noticed in other sitting circles. I learned this from my son. It's done in many sitting groups is you're welcome and invited when somebody says something and it resonates with you, perhaps a hand on the heart or, just sort of a little, Jamin's always like, or Noelle used the reaction and Zoom added some more reactions. And that's just another wonderful way to keep that continuity. So for me, 2020 was really about unknown. Into the unknown was my favorite phrase because I had one thing all planned and then it all would change and I was back going into the unknown. So I just open up, my name's Karen, as you know, to say your name and share one thing about 2020. Yes.
Would you just appoint someone next?
Yeah, so yes, I will. Paige, would you like to share?
Yes. My word for this last year was confusing. And just like you, I'd go in one direction and something else would change, and then I would do something else and it would change, and it was not very grounded. I had to ground myself a lot. Flo?
Thanks, Paige.
Hi, thank you, Paige. I'm Flo. I live in Evanston, Illinois, and 2020 was opportunities mixed with challenges, I'll have to say. I got very, very close to my son and his family, which sounds weird, but helping him take care of his kids and what's going on with his health and all that kind of stuff. So I had to take my service from where I wanted to take my service and bring it back home, which is a good thing. And so, yeah, I'm just hoping that 2021 is not quite so challenging with it all. Thank you. And Elsie?
Thank you, Flo. I'm Elsie, and I'm in Michigan, in Shelby Township, Michigan, northwest of Detroit. And my word for 2020 was enlightening. It just came to me very quickly. It seemed as if I was learning, and not all of it was comfortable. Some of it was really difficult, but I learned a great deal about myself, about my son, about many of my friends, different perspectives when we were with friends when we were having conversations. We're still doing that, where we're sitting back and learning new things and looking at the world from a very, very different perspective. So enlightening seems to be the best word for that. So, Kate.
Greetings all, I'm South Dakota Kate. I'm on the eastern side of the Black Hills here in western South Dakota in Lakota Treaty Land. I really think it was, it feels like Big Mama's been crying out for many years for us to do a big rethink on things, and we haven't really listened. And so I almost feel like it was, I love this evolutionary driver to get us to rethink how we're living in this world and get back to people. And I'll Akashi.
I just rebooted my computer last night and set it back to factory. So I'm relearning everything right now, including Zoom. The word that I picked for my description of last year really was introspection, because that's what I believe, professionally and personally, that's what I believe is happening for all of us, is where do I fall in this whole thing? Good, bad, indifferent, no matter what it looks like to us, we're all going, what is my role in this? A, what is my actionable role? But B, what part have I played up until this moment that has allowed this to become X, Y, Z, however you would describe it? I think that was the goal of 2020 to begin with, at least from an astrological standpoint, from an energetic standpoint. It was the point. 2020 ironically is about vision, and I heard another channel, I can't think of his name right now, on YouTube, and he said something so brilliant. It is the year of introspection, because 2020 vision means before and after. You can look back, hundreds and hundreds of years, and ahead. And then there is also the question of presence. In other words, us being present in the moment and actually acknowledging what's happening right now. And again, going back to that introspection, everything for me was about what am I supposed to learn from this? I mean, to the point where I'm sometimes yelling at the sky or my room or the ceiling going, seriously, what's the lesson here? So I definitely get that some of it has been a challenge without question. I think no matter what your socioeconomic level, no matter what your cultural background, I feel like, just based on who I'm talking to and what I see all around me, we're all struggling with that one. The what is all of this for? What was the point? What is the point? What's the point moving forward? And what do we want that to look like? I am still deeply in the throes of those questions for me and for the world, frankly, because we're all evaluating the world from the same standpoint. The one thing I kind of think we're missing, and this is just my macro perspective on this, is the we part, the collective. Yes, individually we have to look at it. Obviously, we got to figure out our individual piece of this puzzle, but then we have to look collectively at all that there was and all that there is. I think that's the part we're struggling with right now. If I'm being frank, that's the one I think we're having some trouble with. It's okay. I'm hoping 2021 is the year that we are actually seriously having the conversation necessary. I'll also add this, just from a psychic standpoint, I did predict a lot of what was coming, but most of what I've predicted is actually happening right now. I would say in like the last month of this past year, and literally at these moments, some of the hubbub with the politics I saw coming. It's in a Facebook group. I'll be sure to invite you all so you can watch the recording, because it was a pretty emotional channeling for me, because this was when I was really starting to key into, this is the big one. That's just how it felt to me energetically, like, okay. And having to make the mental adjustment to that. So anyway, I won't belabor that point, but yeah, introspection is definitely the big word for me. Robin, why don't you go next? I don't think anybody's got that.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for being here and having me here. Well, so I think it's light shining on that to reveal what needs to be transformed. It's just forced us to see. And then, and my other sentences, expansiveness and limitations. Did Noel and Bob go?
How about Bob? Well, which one are
How
you
about
gonna?
Bob? How about Bob?
What about Bob?
How about Bob? How about Bob?
They should make a movie called What About Bob?
Yeah,
Okay.
how about Bob?
Thank you, Robin. Thank you. I used to be a citizen of the United States, and this year I'm trying to learn how to be a citizen of Tennessee. So I'm learning a new language, and that's helpful. And I have a number of thoughts about 2020, Perils and Pearls. I wrote some notes earlier, and while I was soaking in the tub, and
Too much information.
too much information. I would just say for the moment till we go on that this has been a year of great opportunity to look at the big picture and to look at the big picture and exercise the revolutionary agreements that many of you are familiar with and be open to change. This year was so different than what we expected on January 1st. And there are so many blessings in it and just a tremendous amount of blessings in it. So we'll talk more about some of those things when we go another round.
Are you gonna pass it to me?
You're the only one left? I guess I will. Okay.
Well, me. I would say 2020 was a heart-wrenching year. And through it all, you know, so many wonderful things happened for us this year. You know, it's just really some fantastic things. Some of you know we lived in our RV for 10 years and now we bought a home. And yeah, Paige, you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Actually, Bob's mom went on to her next spiritual adventure the end of February, right after we returned from a marvelous trip to the Holy Land with about 100 other spiritual leaders, activists, and interfaith leaders. And that was amazing. Came back from that. Bob's mother decided to leave the planet. Very beautiful, a very beautiful, peaceful transition at home and just in no pain, just flew off. I know she's around here somewhere. The lights are always flickering, you know, that we say hi every now and then. And so personally for us, I can say we've been most fortunate this year, so many blessings in so many different ways. But, you know, I just feel like the more that you have, the more that you need to give in service and otherwise. And there are just so many needs out there that I went grocery shopping yesterday and Bob said, how much you spend that much money? I said, well, I bought what we needed and I bought about the same amount for what other people needed. You know, it's just like there's so many opportunities for all of us to stretch in so many different ways. So with that, I'll just say we, you know, feel blessed and feel called to continue our sacred activism. So thank you all. And I want to give everyone a report card. You all got A+. We all need a little positive reinforcement, right? Let's start the year out right, loving ourselves and each other. So,
Well, I'd like to revise a little bit. I mean, I thought I was only supposed to say one word. Everybody's been
Kind of got
talking
away from
about,
that. Go for it, Paige.
Yes, Paige.
well,
go.
it has been confusing, but I have done a lot of introspection also, and I'm finding myself drawn towards service and drawn towards looking at my spiritual self and finding some teachers for me that I can trust, not just crackpots that, go off on whatever. I need some trusting. So I'm looking out at St. John's right now, and I haven't talked to Jane about it yet, but I was thinking about it during the blessing of the Lamb. I think there's something for me to do, and I'm not sure what it is yet, and I'm looking. So I'm going to leave it at that and let you all know that I am aware of that, and that's something that this year has brought me.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Martin Luther King said something like this: we can all be great because we can all serve, or something close to that.
Okay.
So that's wonderful, Paige.
Thank you.
Feel that way too.
Well, we did select a short video to show. Karen, do you want me to do that now? And then we
Yeah, I
can have
would
more
love.
conversation or not?
Yes, Noelle's going to show. I was simply going to say thank you so much for sharing. And we knew that we wanted to spend this 90 minutes together sharing, some of the great insights and really the challenges. We have this video that Noelle's going to introduce. And we have another great clip towards the end. And we'll also, towards the end of this circle, take a moment to really go into our hearts, because we know that trauma is held in our bodies, and it can stay there or we can release it. And so many of us have practices that help release the trauma. And that's one of my passions. And that's the heart thread work. And the intention is for the end of the call to do a little bit in our hearts together, so that we invite to ourselves, we offer the invitation to release any trauma that may have embedded into our system throughout 2020. So yes, Noelle, please introduce the video.
Well, this is just a little video. I think it's going to speak for itself. So I'm going to try to do a little share here. Screen share. Everybody wish me luck. Sometimes these things go really smoothly and sometimes not so much.
Practicing for the next 4 days.
Okay, so screen share. Okay, and I want to go here. I'm going to share that.
Oops, you didn't put the sound on it. There's sound. Back
Oops.
up, back up.
Stop share. Did you see that?
Yep.
Okay,
Bingo.
I got to hit these two little boxes here. Now I can,
Down to that, you said.
down there, share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So scheduling made easy.
It says scheduling made easy.
Okay, here we go. Why we should stop hating 2020. Here we go.
A whole lot of songs and a whole lot of posts that are saying F 2020. I'm sick of 2020. Get rid of 2020. Bring on the new year. Well, 2020 is a year that we will never forget. But to hate it and to wish it away would also mean that we're letting go of this great opportunity, this portal to learn some of the most crucial lessons 2020 has taught us. All of us, and some more than others, have learned patience, empathy, minimalism, like, hey, we don't really need so much. We have survived challenges. We have thrived. We have adapted like never before. And some of us have healed from personal tragedies, me included. These are the great lessons. These are the great teachers. Life will suddenly not change on the 1st of January. Our problems and our tragedies will not go away just because the date has changed. That's almost like a mental smokescreen to say, the New Year's and I will be in Happy Valley once again. Life changes only when our mindsets change. And the quickest way to change our mindset is to stop saying, I hate 2020, and replace it with, hey, I learned a lot of wonderful lessons in 2020, and I have truly grown. Because if we keep hating 2020, we will actually not allow our brain to process and accumulate all these crucial life lessons. As the great Buddha said, if you want to grow and if you truly want to evolve, then you must befriend pain and you must befriend challenges. So as we enter the new year, let's look back at 2020 with utmost respect, honor, and if you're brave, let's look back at 2020 with immense gratitude. Because gratitude tricks the brain and puts us in a place of abundance. It helps us focus on what we have rather than what we don't have. And the truth is, we all have evolved, matured, and grown at another level altogether within just a year. So I salute 2020, I honor it, I respect it, and with that mindset, I enter the new year. Hoping you will join me on this journey. Here's wishing you a happy, healthy, fulfilling, and a mindful new year. Let's have a good one, dear friends.
Wow.
So let's see, I'll stop that and then I will come back to here. And where are you, dear friends? There you are. So Karen, I'm going to turn that over to you. Hear that okay?
Yeah, that I heard it okay. It's just so, and I've watched it a couple times, but I mean, it's interesting with this gathering because one of the biggest things about 2020 was that we were not able to hold our co-creators convergence at Sunrise Ranch in person. And Elsie, myself, were on the Weaver team for 2020, of course, Bob and Noel, and a few others. And that was quite, you know, the Weaver team, if you're not familiar, Co-Creators Convergence gathers physically once a year in Loveland, Colorado at Sunrise Ranch. It's a phenomenal co-creative experience. And it is actually sometimes people equate family reunions with like they don't want to see family, but it's like the best family reunion possible. You come into this group of
reunion you want to go to.
family. Yeah, you want to go and you don't want to leave and you want it to last longer.
We've got to kick a few out.
And I know for me personally, like one of my interesting challenges just for me personally with 2020 was I fell deeply in love with a man, and it was the first time I had done that probably since my husband. And it was at first so wonderful because we were on this like lockdown, you know, everyone stay at home, and it was wonderful, wonderful. And then there was an upset in the relationship, and my heart really broke wide open. And what I found is that because of having to stay at home, I was accessing my son's yoga classes in New York. I was accessing more outlets while I was really grieving from a loss, a relationship that I thought was going to happen. And then, of course, there's all these layers for people. That was my personal experience. I didn't deal with illness. You know, I didn't deal with my own personal illness. I had one family member, a brother that had COVID. I did have an 87-year-old, my mother-in-law, I still call her my mother-in-law. Her sister in Ireland died of COVID. So I had a few further away challenges with COVID, but I actually felt that 2020 gave me this new reality of how important it was for me to go inward and what is it, who am I really, and how do I really want to be living my life, and this introspective. So I wanted to share that, and we wanted to really take this time to, you know, have a go around of, I mean, I have to say that I was able to walk away from 2020 feeling more positives, because then there was also these Zoom gatherings with Unity Week and Up Convergence and just this way that I met so much of my soul family through Zoom. And if I had been not in a year of staying at home, I might have been traveling all over. And of course, I would have met wonderful people, but there might have just been a different framework. So I know that I'm really grateful for the deep introspective and coming back more to myself.
Wonderful.
Awesome, Karen.
Thank you.
Well, can I just ask a question? Truth-telling time. So did anybody ever say, I can't wait for 2020 to be over this year? Did anybody say that in 2020?
I'm not
I
sure.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Kate's.
Kate
I'm
Stan.
sticking it. It's funny. So, you know,
Well, you're
there-
right at dinner time in South Dakota.
Okay, understand.
Okay,
Good enough.
okay. So many times, you know, Barbara Marks Hubbard, and we might have a meditation with her at the very end, a recording she made in 1994. But every time I would start to go down because of things that were happening, I would always remember Barbara's words, our crisis is a birth. And so, you know,
Yes.
we want to birth something new. Another thing she would say, break down before breakthrough. So, you know, it's kind of like, feel like this 2020 for me is like, it's forced me to like crack that egg and let all the stuff come out, you know, and look for the goodness in the yolk, look for the goodness that's in all that, you know, well, it's in, you know, yucky stuff, but, you know, it kind of feels like yucky stuff. But, you know, just want to, you know, open the floor if anyone else has any reflections they want to share. We do have another video and a meditation, but, you know, just open the floor for whatever it needs to be for you.
I
Go ahead, Robin. Oh,
jump. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it okay if I?
We'll do Robin and then
Robin
Elsie.
and then Elsie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Thanks,
Rob.
Karen.
thanks. And then Rob, yeah.
Hi, yeah, you know, I don't know if you did seen the Global Peace Tribe. You're probably aware of them doing a Saturday night program, and you know, and working with Barbara. I don't know if this was originally Teilhard de Chardin. Is that how you say it?
Desjardins.
But who was the first person that came up with the caterpillar butterfly? You are hearing that all the
God.
time now. The caterpillar butterfly metaphor.
God came
Yeah,
up
so
with that.
imaginal cell, you know, the caterpillar turns in, you know, greedy caterpillar then turns into, in the cocoon, into a mush, and these things called imaginal cells, that's what they're called, you know, take over to build and construct the butterfly. But the caterpillar body that is disintegrating sees still fighting to live, and it sees those cells as invaders, so it's fighting them, but they overcome and turn into a butterfly. And people are talking about that all the time, and I just feel really strongly that's what's happening. I mean, you know, I wrote a screenplay with some transformational ideas in it, and I said, you know, there's always chaos before order, just like if you're cleaning your garage, right? There's a moment where it's unbelievably messy because you're pulling everything out. So that's what I see. I really, I'm sad for any suffering and from anything that has happened from people's misuse of their power and abuse of, you know, not stewarding our planet. But aside from that, I think everything is happening in the only way it can to get better. And I felt positive about that the whole time.
Can I say something?
Elsie was next, and then we'll come to you.
Oh, okay, I'll be next.
No, that's okay if Paige needs to go ahead. I can wait.
Oh, okay. I just realized that all year long, I've been telling other people, this is just the chaos that has to happen. Like the volcano has to erupt before it slows down and stops, and it provides new land and new things, and it is destructive. And I've been doing that all year long, and that's what's gotten me through the year, is to realize that we're in the process of evolving. The world's evolving. The Mother Earth planet of ours is evolving, changing. Climate change, everything is all turning in a new direction. And I feel that very, very strongly. And like she said, Robin, I think, is that it all is for a purpose. And everything that we're looking at now, the pain, the awfulness of the way the government's going, whatever, it's to turn over a new leaf. And when you turn a leaf over in dirt, you disturb the dirt until you get turning over and you scrape it out, and you see the new leaf. And it's just, that's the one thing that's gotten me through, and I just didn't realize it till she said that. How many times I have said, that's what this is all about. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So another great way to express it. Thank you, Paige.
I'm writing on the back of both Robin and Paige because I've said things that are very similar. When Robin was talking about the butterfly, that's become more and more, you know, in my book, I say you are the butterfly who speaks. And,
Yeah.
you know, being with creativity, that you come out from the cocoon, you know, and become something that you were not before. And Paige's comments about mentioning the chaos and the fact that that comes before the awakening. I don't always use the word awakening, but chaos I've used a lot this last year, that we have to experience that, you know, that's part of the change process. It's part of the transformation. I think what I wanted to share very quickly is that one of the things that I've experienced is many conversations and lots of journal writing, lots of opportunities that I've taken to be reflective, to go into my cocoon, you know, to learn that not every day do I have, and many of you have heard me mention this before, that need to be always busy and always doing something that I grew up with is not there anymore. And so the energy has changed so dramatically in the universe that we really do need to rest, and we need to stop, and we need to reflect, and we need to, because things are going to be very different from what we've known before. What's dramatic for me personally is how it feels physically and emotionally and mentally. And that's been just very recent within this last, I mean, it's happening all the time, but this last new moon, going through that experience, the heaviness, the sadness. I lost my favorite aunt last week, who finally passed, who had a long history of Alzheimer's, and it was sort of adjusting to the fact that she was gone, even though she's not suffering any longer, and it's a good thing. It was hard to go through all of that energy. I just look at my friends that I'm talking with and just say, I need to step, I talk about the expansion all the time, that's what we're experiencing, is an expansion of energy. But I need to work on me stepping into that expansion and feeling the butterfly, and allowing the chaos to go wherever it needs to go, and to be able to be in that space, because I know I'm functioning in 5D. Many people have told me that you're already in 5D, else, but it's a new place and it feels different. And when you don't allow that change and that transformation, you don't step into that, it can be painful. That's what I'm learning. So that's my experience right now, is to step back and say, just, you know, breathe more, be more mindful. I lost my trailer in Canada because we still can't get across the border. We can't get over. So I drive up and sit. I was just there last Saturday. I drive up and sit by the bridge that goes over from the US up on Lake Huron and goes over to Canada. And I sit near the bridge and watch Lake Huron dump into the river, you know, and the water is super high because our water levels are high. So I watch the rapids and I sit there and see like 4 trucks going across the bridge when it used to be completely full, you know, of traffic. It's that retreat that I had for 15 years there is gone.
Right.
So it really is. It's like Paige was saying, and Robin, there is a butterfly that's happening.
Mhm.
It's a matter of being able to step into that space and to,
Right.
Yes.
and to work with it in ways that we didn't work with it before. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Else. Does anyone else want to jump in here, or Karen, I'll turn it back to you. Oh, Flo.
Yeah, I will.
Flo and then Bob. But Flo, have to.
Okay, this year I had, well, the end of 2019, I guess the beginning of it, I had started my spiritual research with Dom and her, and it was on the initiate path. And we were supposed to have been initiated last March in Dom and her. And so nobody was able to go because of COVID. And during this past, you know, since, I don't know, since March, I have been on Zoom in classes and with different groups. I'm sure like many of you, many times a week. And I have many classes and lots of things to study. And then I'm also taking care of my grandkids 2 to 3 times a week. And I'm not talking about a few hours. I'm talking about 12-hour days. So after these 12-hour days, I need a recoup day. You know, I just have to physically. It's just, you know, it's really hard. They're 1 and almost 4. So I just feel busier than I have ever felt. And part of it is what I chose, and part of it is what was handed it to me. And I believe that I had at some point said, okay, you know, how may I serve? And it was handed to me, and it wasn't really what I wanted it to be, but I'm learning a lot from all ends of it. And I probably never would have had the opportunity to spend this much time with my grandkids had this whole thing not happened. And, you know, they're all, my son's family is all traumatized. They were robbed at gunpoint. And that has been really hard. It's taken something that was already hard for the family. And, you know, nobody was hurt physically. They were all traumatized. And, you know, for a 4-year-old not to feel safe in her home anymore is awful. You know, she's really acting out. So I know there's lessons. And I'm still trying to get them. You know, this attempted robbery, or what it's called, home invasion, because they came into their house, or he came into their house with a gun. That was right after Christmas. So, you know, it's flowing into this year, and this year is starting off kind of the same way. I'm up to the screen now because I just had my eyes dilated. I have an eye problem, but I just keep saying, okay, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? What's the lesson? And I'm really reaching. And I love having these Zoom opportunities to, you know, see how everybody else is doing and try to give what I can, but I don't have anything left to give. I'm sorry. It's a terrible thing, you know, people ask you to do things and I'm like, sorry, I just can't. I can't. So that's where I'm at. And I'm trying to save my light and shine my light and share my light, and whatever happens, happens. I love you all.
Well, Flo, I just want to say that the photography that you share with us all the time is such a gift. You are like out there in nature, and to see you with your grandchild, your granddaughter, enjoying it. And she must be a nature spirit, because the way that she loves on trees, and you know, what you are serving up right now to those children. You know, I don't have any memories of grandparents. I never knew any of them.
I don't either. I don't know. And I was trying to think of that because we're having some respect issues. In fact, yesterday she told me she didn't want to talk to any old people anymore. And I said, fine, you go over there, I'll go over here, we'll be fine. So I thought, well, how, you know, I saw my grandparents once a year for maybe 6 or 7 years before they passed. So I don't remember them that well, but I do remember that I respected their home, you know, so I never would have said that to an old person. I don't know how to quite get there with it, but we're trying, we're working on each other.
You should just ask her, what makes you think I'm old?
I may have said that. I can't do that. I'm too old. I may have said it.
Oh, we love you, Flo. There's so much.
I love you guys.
Your family. Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll be traveling again.
Yeah.
Flo is.
We better be. We better be. And I've been having a retina issue, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to fly, but I can fly, so I'm all good. As soon as we can fly, I'm flying.
And definitely keep honoring yourself. We aren't always here to be saying yes, yes, yes. It's so healthy to say no, no, no. It's compassionate to yourself, you know.
Yeah,
Just protect your boundaries. It's beautiful.
I'm working on that.
Say the same thing. Good on you for telling your truth. That was your honest truth.
Yeah.
Just like, and that was, there's nothing wrong with being yourself. So I was appreciating that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't know, Jim, maybe if you wanted to put your voice in our circle here. We started by putting one word in the chat that would sum up 2020. And then we kind of went around in a sentence or two, summarized a thought about our 2020. So if you were interested in unmuting and sharing, you're welcome to.
You mean Pearls and Perils?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Put me on that.
Noelle's line.
in short, I look at Peril contains the letters ripe, and Pearl contains the letters ears. So I see that as deep listening. We're ripe for deep listening and taking away what we can collectively learn from this experience. And I heard Flo talking about she's in the middle of taking away from this experience, no matter it's not non-judgmentally, but we all can learn from her message that what do we taking away that we can roll over for the future tomorrow.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to say, Jim, I also met on the Birth 2012 tour.
Right.
And Jim, Robin Streichler was one of the coordinators of that whole effort with Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a big fan of Barbara Marx Hubbard, and so it's kind of funny, you know, we're so glad to see Jim back here. We did a beautiful, he shared a song with us, and we did a beautiful CCC picture along with his song. That was really beautiful. It's a wonderful contribution.
Yeah, I love that. The imagery was just beautiful. It was amazing. I don't know where it is, but I'd like to see it again.
We'll find it. It's on our YouTube channel.
Very creative and powerful.
Yeah. Maybe Bob can dig it up. We'll get it to you, Jim.
Yeah.
Back to you, Karen.
Good
Well, I
memories.
know, Noelle, that you had another video to share, so this might be a good time to pop that in, and then we can open and continue the discussion.
Okay, this video, short video, is by my friend Michael Rachia, who is a trans medium in England. And this one is more about, we'll say that the first one was more about the first video was more about 2020 past, and we'll say this one is for future. So bear with me as I attempt to do another screen share. Let's see here, that's optimized. All right, here we go. We're gonna share this one here.
Yep.
Got that one there. Golden opportunity, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let her roll.
While there's still time, shouldn't we choose the spiritual way forwards? The only way forwards?
Hello. This is Zuracha from the
Could you
Centre
please
of
mute
Healing.
yourself?
And I've got with me 2 books here today. I'm going to put my glasses on. Both of them are the same. That's Revelation as it came out 15 years ago.
Originally, around that, yes.
Was it 2006?
8, I think.
2008,
I think
whatever.
so.
That's how the first book looked. And then in recopies that we did later on, this is how it looks. Okay, now the recopies are exactly the same words as that, only we had to have a reprint. We were selling them. And there is a quote on page 124 for those of you that have the book. And if you imagine this was written 15 years ago. So Michael, I'm just going to read this out if that's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I know you normally do all the reading.
No, I need a rest too.
Okay, you need a
The
rest.
sick of my voice.
So please excuse me if I stutter a bit. I'm not used to reading from a book. And then we're going to discuss that's written here. It's part of what we wanted to discuss today. So in the book, page 124, there's the second paragraph in goes, and the year 2020, around the year 2020, you will find there is a shift. There will be a shift in consciousness then, in thinking from a matter-based thought to a perception of the finer values. We promise you it is not that far away. Anything that is worth having has to be born in struggle, and it is struggle you are witnessing at this time. You are moving into a period we would call a fluid time. We would describe it as a time of water and of water signs. During this time, there will be great change, and the beginning of the change, a change of vibration, will come around 2016. It will appear until that time as though things are being taken to the brink, and they are. Conditions have to be tested. They have to be pushed to the point where people say, enough of this. There must be another way. Only by letting souls take themselves to the brink can you help them to discover, to rediscover their true identity, their true selves. So there is a slow shift in thinking from the head mind to the heart mind, which is happening at this time. I won't go on further than that, but we find it incredible that in 15 years ago, Joseph was predicting this shift that's happening in 2020, which is so obvious to everybody.
Yes, yes. And I think it's important for us to consider at this juncture whether we have used 2020 as a golden opportunity or whether we have lost that opportunity, have wasted that opportunity. We have to address, and there's a theme to our videos, isn't there? We have to address our spirituality.
Yeah.
We're not addressing our spirituality. And also, people might have listened to that paragraph and thought, well, nothing's happened, it's gone worse. What he's predicted hasn't taken place. Well, it hasn't taken place because we contribute to our potential futures, each of us, every single day. And it's like the switching tracks on a railway line.
Okay.
You know, we can switch tracks at any time, dependent on our dominant beliefs.
Okay.
And this year, 2020, rather than believing that we are more than this, that we are capable of more than this, that we can solve our problems from a spiritual perspective, we have chosen instead to attempt to solve them from a materially based perspective only. And as a result of that, the wondrous changes are still in the potential, but we're not moving towards them. And I think we at the end of 2020 need to reflect on that and decide that in 2021 we're going to switch those tracks back to that original prediction, and we're going to manifest that better way of life, that way of life that comes from the heart rather than the head mind, by our choices daily, by our approach to each other, by our approach to life, and by our acceptance of and investigation of the spiritual aspect of our nature.
I think Joseph was saying actually that we are on the brink now, and that was predictive 15 years ago.
Yes.
But we are on the brink, but it's up to us, isn't it, to make those changes you've just described?
Yes, and since then, of course, earlier this year, we had final communications with the guiding influence we call the Persian gentleman, and also with Joseph.
Yeah.
And both of them outlined the dire need for change, the dire need for us to accept our spirituality and investigate our spirituality. And that if we don't, we may reach the point of no return because we're coming at things from the wrong angle. So we have to make changes in 2021.
And those changes have to come from every single individual.
Yeah.
Everybody is responsible.
Yeah, and they have to come not from the head mind, but from the heart.
Yeah.
We have to understand that the seat of our spiritual intelligence is not here, this computer, this fight or flight computer.
That goes on for a little bit more, but I want to, you know, if you want the link to that, I can share that. But I think it's a very powerful message. And as I said, that's my friend Michael. He's published a series of 8 books called the Joseph Communications. And Karen and I have visited him in England. And he's actually told me recently that he has a lot of books that he's trying to get out to people to read. So if anybody would want a set of his 8 books, put your email in the chat, and I'll send it to you. I won't charge you postage, but if you want to pay me back postage, then I'll use that to pay it forward. But I can send you a set of books free, and you don't have to pay for postage. But if you do, your postage will be used to send it to others. So yeah, so just
and how would we send you the postage? Do PayPal or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
We'll figure it out. It'll be a little while because we're getting a shipment of books from him that are in the US already in storage, and we won't get the books for a couple weeks. So
yeah,
we'll figure out.
So Elsie and Asaki are interested. Flo is interested. Paige is interested. So
but I don't know.
They have a wonderful.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to use the chat.
That's okay. We got your name.
We got you.
Okay.
But if you do want to know, go to the bottom and you'll see a thing that says chat and click on it one time and the chat will pop up.
I think it's Pages, you're on your phone, right, Paige?
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably why. Okay.
We got you covered. We got you covered.
Thank you.
But,
sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
No,
Perfect.
No problem. No problem.
Perfect.
So anyway, Karen, back to you.
Yeah, so I just really did want to take a moment. I mean, I have a share that I want to wait on because I want to let some other voices come into the circle, and either something from this video that might have prompted you, or even from the last video, or just on our topic. Jim, thank you so much. You just ripe for deep listening. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's so profound. So yeah, who would like, Bob, do you want to share?
I would. So expanding on earlier and also reflections from that video, that Noel talked, and I spoke earlier briefly about the blessings of all of 2020 in our life. And one thing that I've found myself doing is seeing the truth below the surface of that which is going on in many, many ways. And also, I've found myself being very emotional at different times about things that are just, in the past, I would have like, it would have gone on by and it was just a transaction or an event or an interaction. The black fellow who installed most of our windows here in the house, and having a conversation with him one evening, a couple of you have heard this story, mentioning to me after we got to know each other, after he was in our house daily for a couple of weeks, he pointed out that he was actually in Northeast Tennessee worried about going to some houses because people are so, quote, nasty and unkind to him. And he asked me if I noticed that he was black, which after 2 weeks I had noticed that. And he saw our "Love lives here, good of the whole" sign in the front yard.
Yard sign.
And our Earth flag, blue flag, hanging in a street full of blue flags that said someone's name on it that were not the Earth. And also our peace pole in the front yard. And he said he knew he was at the right place, and he was going to have an enjoyable time being in our home while he was installing the windows. That made me emotional. I mean, just this evening we were watching the end of the news hour, and they were doing a promo for the next hour they were going to do from 7 to 8, which was all kids having an hour-long show called "We Are the People." Actually, we are the young people. And so they did a little teaser of these young people talking about the world that we're in today, and like a half a sentence each, and what they hope for the future, why it's important to them, and that sort of thing. And a wide variety, a very diverse looking group of young people. And it just chokes me up. So there are things this year that have been very, that I've allowed myself to be emotional about. And I feel like I and we wake every morning asking the question, what is mine to do? Like you were talking about, Flo, what is mine to do? Things have come to us that are apparently
Will you quit asking?
Apparently what is ours to do, and because we didn't sign up for it. And there's some things that maybe we did ask for or manifest in nonverbal ways that is for us to do. And I feel like this whole year has been a refinement of that, and that includes looking below the surface of what's going on. What they were just reading from the Revelation book, what Tony was just reading from the Revelation book, is a part of that as well, because this failure that Barbara talked about all those years, and she's with us literally every day, that the breakdown of democracy, of financial systems, of educational systems, of, this, you want to argue about socialism and all these labels and things about healthcare, and is it human right, or all the freeloaders are going to get free healthcare, and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff below it is the stuff that's really important. And we're seeing this breakdown of the caterpillar in all of these systems. And so for me, the year has been full of an opportunity to refine my answering of the question daily of what is mine to do. And I'll say that I'm particularly drawn at this time. We did a thing here on a Thursday night called spiritual beings having a political experience, like a human experience, but a political experience. And I'm feeling called that that's something I'm supposed to be up to this year, and having an opportunity, not just be talking with and listening to a bunch of spiritual people like y'all on Thursday night, but other places where I might take that invitation for conversation to listen to what people are saying about the experience they're having. And lastly, say on that subject that I find it interesting that in the last couple of weeks, because I've been listening for the word, we've heard a Democrat who will soon be the president of the United States, in his acceptance speech, use the word spiritual or spirituality. We've heard Mitt Romney,
he used the word light. He used the word light a lot.
We've heard a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
parenthetical, a Republican, Mitt Romney, talk about we have to find our way from a spiritual standpoint. And so there are these flickers of divine light that exist in everyone that are actually shining through people that have an audience as big as a Mitt Romney and as a Joe Biden have. And that has nothing to do with whether they're a registered Republican or registered Democrat. But
Yeah.
it has everything to do with the experience of the breakdown of systems that we're going through and the divine light that's shining. So with that, I'll be emotionally and say thank you.
Thank you, Bob. 15 years ago, he would have just looked like a blank cutout person. You know, it's just so wonderful to know that you can express that so beautifully now.
Thank you.
And
I want
it's not easy when you come against people. I mean, talking to you people who are like-minded, it just seems to flow. Things seem to flow. And then when I get hung up in real life, it makes it much harder, much more difficult to shine my light and to stay, to stay the course, stay my course, and to keep my light shining, because I'm human and I get wrapped up in everything else. And especially, you got to stay away from the TV. So I will follow your lead, Bob, because I trust you and Noel to show us lots. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to just say something real quick about Asaki Kai. Aren't you in Georgia?
I'm in Georgia. We are world famous now.
How to become world famous in 10 years or less.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, our politics are definitely on the map big time. In contrast to that, I live in a county that is very, very red. You could walk in any grocery store or restaurant and half the people aren't wearing masks. Let me give you all the perspective on what Georgia can really be like. It's changing. It's purple, turning blue, slowly but surely, but we still got work to do there. That was, it took a massive effort to create the result. I mean, just being here and watching the ads, you have no idea how hard they worked to get that hurdle. It was serious. So much so that it was a little stalkery and scary at different points, some of the mail we got, but still, I get it. And the effort was worth it. So hopefully that will pan out to this shift that we're looking for.
Overnight success only took 30 years.
God
I've
bless
learned.
Stacey Abrams.
Oh man. Yeah, she's truly an unselfish human, because after her own election, she could have said, yeah, all right, that's enough talking. And instead, she dug in hard and fought the good fight. And it really was the good fight. So yeah, we got a lot to be proud of in that regard.
Yeah.
No, I just think I just love that, speaking, Bob was talking about spiritual leaders, and to, have Reverend Warnock from Martin Luther King's Church, Ebenezer.
Right. Yep.
This is
the beauty in that.
This is real life.
And apparently, I didn't know this until recently, John Ossoff, I actually have a spiritual friend here who's worked very heavily on his campaign, because he's actually from in and around Roswell, which is not too far from me. I did not know that he was actually John Lewis's intern.
Right.
Good trouble. I'm going, well, okay, there you go. That's how we really got here. So the consciousness, that kind of flows through, even though those folks are already gone, above us and guiding us through that process, it shows. You can see the history just seeping into to what's happening right now, and that's always exciting. To see the fruits of those labors. So it's good.
Very much alive in others. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's almost like you can see that light kind of being passed on and the torch right along with it. So that's always exciting. I did want to say something really quick. Bob, you mentioned that the gentleman that was in your house working on the windows, I think.
Phil.
Say his name again.
Phil.
Phil, okay. It is, and I have learned this in particular in my travels to Wisconsin. I spent a lot of time in Wisconsin in the last like 4 or 5 years. It was a huge, a big part of my my client base was there, almost all at some point or another. And Wisconsin is not, I'll just be blunt, it's not a very Black state, period. Like I didn't have any Black clients in Wisconsin, most of them were upper echelon, very high socioeconomic level, really, 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 really good and decent people. But there's a certain presence in people where they are able to make people who normally may not be comfortable, those who would be typically disenfranchised, whether it's women, brown people, you name it. And I just wanted to commend you because I've had to live in other people's spaces when I went there a lot, stay with someone. I mean, everybody was very welcoming, but more importantly, I felt safe. That's not always easy to accomplish. So I just really want to kind of say, you should know that doesn't exist in everyone, and it's important. It's so important. Even as I can't imagine what it's like for service people right now. I just had this conversation in my house. A friend of the family, he's a young guy. He got a job that's door to door, and his parents are, he's 20 something, early 20s. His parents said, I don't really want you going door to door in this climate in your job. And I thought, you know what? He's a young Black male. I kind of get it. That can be a daunting experience because you don't know what the doors are that you're going to knock on. So I just really wanted to commend you because creating the space that allows someone who normally may not be comfortable in those spaces, and they do. I've seen videos of including in Georgia, of the strangest things that people encounter. If you're a service person, you come to a house with a Confederate flag.
Right.
Am I safe there?
Right.
Well, how would you know? You get where I'm going. So I just want you to know it's a unique gift to be able to make those who normally may not be able to feel safe in spaces feel safe in your space. So
thank you.
Just wanted to say that.
He liked my brownies too.
He did. And he introduced us to his sister, and we won't.
Yeah, we're
go into that
co-creating
story.
with his sister.
We're
That's a
co-creating with
story
her
for
sister
another
now.
time.
Story for another time. It's going to be
Yeah.
a big thing. Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big thing in this area.
Well, I think that it does just spill over into what we're all doing, co-creative convergence and creating these safe spaces energetically and otherwise. And when we are creating them energetically, it is naturally tends to overflow into our physical spaces, our home. So in the spirit of this space and us honoring time, which I have Pacific Standard Time as 6:15, there is what we'd like to do is, if you really have a 30-second with your voice, would like to share something in, there will be a moment for that. So feel into that. Remember that, we're here every Thursday night. The conversation's continuing. You can reach out to Bob, Noelle, myself. If you want to have a conversation, if you need a safe place to have a conversation, reach out to us, because either we can have one together, we can pull a Zoom party together in a moment, and they're happening all over. I'm going to put the Co-Creators Convergence link in the chat, as well as the link to the Building Beloved Community Convergence that's opening tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific Eastern Time. And it's all dedicated towards Martin Luther King weekend, and just a beautiful convergence with so many offerings. So what we'd like to do is, if you really feel you want to share something in 30 seconds, raise your hand, because then we're going to take a couple announcements and then a couple moments on our heart. And then we have about an 8-minute meditation that we're going to close with, and that's Barbara Marks Hubbard. And so we're going to put that at the end. If you need to pop off and leave the room, no problem. So we might go a little over the, ending time. But that's how we would like to close. So does anybody have a few perils or pearls they'd like to share? And as we are ripe with listening ears.
Real quick, Paige.
I just want to thank Bob and Noel for inviting me to this tonight. And I have had a similar group that I meet with every other Wednesday night where we discuss these kinds of things. And it's very comforting to know that there are other people that are thinking exactly the same way I am, and that are being spiritual in their own right and being the best people that they can be. And I just thank you all for having me here tonight. And thank you for what you have said, because it's meant a lot to me.
We're here every Thursday night, Paige. Come on back.
Well, I will. Just let me know. I don't know. Can I come back on the same?
Yeah. Same time,
Oh.
same bat station, same time.
Same bat. Zoom.
Okay, I'll write it down. I'll write it down. Thank
You
you.
did get the email, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how I got here.
Yeah. I hope everyone got the email.
Robin, did you want to say something?
Did you want me to?
Oh, I just didn't know. I thought maybe it looked like you might have wanted to offer a word or two in.
I think I had a thought, but I wasn't gonna, let's see. No, but thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Oh yeah, well, I did have a thought. Just wondering, because we have the circles of, co-creation. I have media things. I didn't know if I saw anything on media. Do we have a media? Is there a media spoke of the wheel?
Yes, there was. There was a media spoke of the wheel. It was called Media and something or other. Juan Carlos was part of that.
Well, I'll check in with you then separately.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, so I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And I want to let you know that next Thursday, our conversationalist is going to be Zachary Johnson. And I'm going to just read. And he and I are, the way that this just ends up working, Annie Spade, who did talk about Teilhard, invited Zachary. And so I started to cultivate this for the conversation. And as it turns out, Zachary will also be speaking at the Building Beloved Community Convergence on Saturday. And so I became his steward for that. So we're becoming friends. So Zachary has been a devoted student of human history for the past 40 years. He's also the self-published author of The Pictorial Guide to the Past and Future Shadow History of the United States. Now, he did mention to me that he won't really be spending too much time on the book next week, but he will be offering bits of a PowerPoint presentation. So it briefly discusses the astonishing similarities between the lifetime conclusions regarding the miraculous healing powers of love shared in common by Teilhard de Chardin, the famous priest-scientist, and Pitram A. Sorkin, I apologize, don't know that name, the original founder of the Harvard School of Sociology. So he has a YouTube clip called The Living Experiment in Nonviolence, and that is what he's going to be conversing about next week. So we're very excited to have him on. Noelle, any other announcement?
Yeah, a little self-promotion. In the email that you all received, Bob and I are doing, Bob, you want to say?
We're doing a session once, one for each day of the 4-day convergence starting tomorrow on racial equity and social justice challenge, it's called. It's actually kind of a highlight of a YWCA nationwide program, which is like a 21-day challenge. And so we're going to talk about each of those things: voting one day, education, criminal justice, and public health. And so we'd love to have you join us any or all of those days.
Yeah, it's free. And I think if you got the email, we have the times. It's a different time every day.
Yeah.
So, but you're welcome to everything. Go to Compassion Games. I think Karen put it in there.
Yeah, Compassion Games.
CompassionGames.org. You'll be able to find the information about everyone's offerings, not just us.
Yes, and it will be on our Facebook pages and the Sign Networking Network. And I will also self-promote because I will be offering the Alchemy of the Heart on Saturday afternoon. And I'm going to be combining it with, I've been reading Resmaa Menacem's book, My Grandmother's Hands. And he, I pronounced that wrong. And he has worked in healing historical trauma. And so he talks a lot about how, oh my gosh, I'm getting this important phone call from my parents right now. He talks about how we hold trauma in our body, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. So Noelle, you want to just take us for a moment, just starting close eyes into the heart?
Yes. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to play the Barbara Marx Hubbard video about the universal human, because we had our first video was kind of talking about the past. Our second video was kind of talking about, you know, where to go. And of course, we want to hear Barbara's words reminding us about being a universal human. So if you would just be patient here, and I will bring up that video. It does have some pretty visuals with it if you want to.
Meditate with your eyes closed or with your eyes open. Sit this one. Yeah.
I want to close that one. And I want to go to this one.
There you go.
All righty. I'm going to.
So mute if you would, please, if you're not muted, and the sound will come in just a moment from Barbara's.
Contact with your universal self. A meditation for the 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. We are all born from a field of consciousness, manifesting in our experience only a fragment of the whole field. Beyond the frequency of our human selves, we are often in touch with many higher levels of consciousness. This meditation is designed to support you in accessing and receiving energy from your universal self, a frequency of light personal to each of us. In this meditation, first we have the request from the human self asking for contact. Then comes the response from the universal self, a light frequency given for each of us. The codes spring forth from the universal self to you, to us, as evolving humans seeking to evolve our world. The human self asks, and then the universal self responds. Dearly beloved universal self, you who are an expression of the light, you who resonate at the frequency of light, you who can materialize and dematerialize, you who can resonate throughout the universe, you who are radiant, joyful, ecstatic, I ask for contact with you now. Beloved, you have asked for contact with me, your universal self. Here I am. Here I always am. I am coded with your own evolution. I am your universal self. I am your partner in conscious evolution on the other side of the veil of your human consciousness, coming through now that you asked for me. Ask, and it is given. Knock, and doors are opening. You have requested contact with the highest frequency of your being. You are raising your frequencies to become a universal human, a co-creator of the human world, a co-creator of the emerging world. I now offer to you evolutionary codes to lift you into the light. Codes that radiate just beyond your range of experience. I have guided you from the beginning. I am your own beloved greater self, now entering your field of consciousness. Today is the extended wedding day of your essential self and your universal self. I am now infusing you with my power and radiance. Stop now and feel your divine qualities in order to incarnate them. Hold your attention still to crystallize the image of your whole being in your consciousness and therefore become it. Be ready to repattern, for the larger pattern is now ready for you. I will never leave you. Whenever you are in pain, whenever you feel a nameless anxiety, stop. Breathe. I will radiate my presence. I now have dominion within your being because you asked me to come in the whole way. I breathe you upward into me so that your heaviness becomes my lightness. Your fear is comforted by union with me. This, I, your universal self, commit to you. This is the direction of your evolution. This is the intention of creation, the drive of the life force, the unfolding of spirit. Create an aura of silence around you till you can hear and feel me at all times. Let your self-conscious mind be completely absorbed in your God-conscious mind. Everyone is called to their posts, for the hour of our birth is at hand. You can have absolute faith in what you are now undertaking when you put this purpose first.
I don't think there's anything else more to say other than Happy New Year. We
Happy
love
New-
you and hope to see you with us in the future.
Happy New Year.
Love you all.
Happy New Year. Love you. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
I love us.
Yes.
Jim's a wordsmith. He's,
I love
in
us.
addition to an eaglesmith, he's a wordsmith.
I love us too. That's great.
Love us too.